Structuralism and Literary Criticism, Gerard Genette. In his essay, Structuralism and Literary Criticism, that methods developed for the study of one discipline could be satisfactorily applied to the study of other disciplines as well. This is what he calls intellectual bricolage, borrowing a term from Claude Lévi-Strauss. Gerard Genette, Structuralism and Literary Criticism. In a new chapter of L'Option Sauvage, Claude Lévi-Strauss defines mythical thought as a kind of intellectual bricolage. The nature of bricolage is to make use of materials and tools that, unlike those of the engineer, for example, were not intended for the task in hand. But there is another intellectual activity peculiar to it, possible to revise certain traditional verities concerning the truth of literary discourse, and to study more closely the system of its convention. Literature had long enough been regarded as a message without a code for it to become necessary to regard it for a time as a code without a message. Structuralist method as such is constituted at the very moment when one rediscovers the message in the code, uncovered by an analysis of the immanent structures and not imposed from the outside by ideological prejudices. This moment was not to be long in coming, for the existence of design at every level rests on the connection of form and meaning. Between pure formalism, which reduces literary forms to a sound material that is ultimately formless, because non-signifying, and traditional realism, which accords to each form of autonomous substantial expressive value, structural analysis must take it possible to uncover the connection that exists between a system of forms and a system of meanings, by replacing the search for the term-by-term analogies with one structural study of poetic language and of the forms of literary expressions in general, cannot, in fact, reject the analysis of the relations between code and message. The ambition of the structuralism is not confined to counting feet and to observing the repetitions of phonemes. It must also attack semantic phenomena, which, as Marlom showed us, constitute the essence of poetic language, and more generally, the problems of literary semiology. In this respect, one of the newest and most fruitful directions that are now opening up for the literary research ought to be the structural study of large unities of discourse, beyond the framework which linguistics in the strict sense cannot cross, of the sentence. One would thus study systems from a much higher level of generality, such as narrative, description, and the other major forms of literary expressions. There would also then be linguistics of discourse, and there was a translinguistics, since the facts of language would be handed by in great bulk and often at one remove. To put it simply, a rhetoric, perhaps that new rhetoric which Francis Pong once called for, and which we still lack. Russian formalism to French structuralism, within which lies the field of structural analysis, whose aims are much wider than those of the old stylistics, based as they were on an erroneous idea of expressivity. At every level, therefore, be it that of the argument, the discourse, or the words, the literary work offers structuralism, the picture of the structure perfectly homological. Present-day research is tending to prove this, with that of language itself. Structuralism has emerged from linguistics, and in literature it finds an object which has itself emerged from language. We can understand then why structuralism should want to found the science of literature, or, to be more exact, a linguistics of discourse, whose object is the language of literary forms, grasped on many levels.